Hey guys, I'm here with Olympian Chad Vaughn, and we're gonna show you how to fix the 5 most common Olympic weightlifting mistakes.
Get up and get down, get up and get down.
Hey guys, thanks so much for stopping by the YouTube channel. Today is obviously about Olympic weightlifting. Chad, what are the 5 most common Olympic weightlifting mistakes you see?
The first one we're going to talk about is loss of best back position. That could be loss of tension, meaning that the back is rounding, and or the hips rising faster than the shoulders, okay? Going up through the rest of the lift from there, we're looking at an improper above knee position. Understand with the bar at the level of the top of the kneecap, that's what I like to call the transition position. It kind of cuts the pull, so to speak, in half, and it's a critical transition point within the lift. And what you'll see a lot of times there is the bar away from the body a little bit too much, and or the toes lifting off the floor. Someone's knees might be too far forward as well, but that's not as common as the bar being away or the toes lifting up off the ground. From there, you might see the arms bending too soon. You know, the arms bending before the pull under portion. So that can happen even right from the ground. Maybe someone's yanking on that bar and bending the arms from there. But a lot of times it will happen from the knee going up. Just someone is anticipating, they're ready to pull under the bar, right? So they start bending those arms too soon and too much, right? From there, we're looking for contact at the hip and the snatch or the upper quad in the clean. And so they may not contact at all, or they may contact too low or too high. Usually it's too low if it's improper specific contact. Again, we're just finishing out the rest of the lift here. Improper pull under coordination. So a lot of athletes will pull up on the bar way too much, way too long while the legs are staying straight, and then finally they'll bend the knees to go underneath. What we want to see there is a simultaneous bend in the knee, in the elbow. So improper coordination on the pull under. Understand that these can all happen, right? With the same lifter, right? And they all affect the other one, right? So sometimes somebody only has one of them, sometimes somebody does more than one of them, but it all starts from the ground. And the biggest thing that we want to do to fix them is slow down. First and foremost, slow yourself down as much as you need to. We may pause in some key positions to help you slow down, to help you learn better positions to get stronger and more consistent. They're isolating those portions of the lift as needed to make those changes, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna do, going back to the first one, in loss of back tension or back position, aside from any mobility that someone might need to work on or strength that somebody might need to work on, again, using light weights, that's another thing we need to do. We need to take the weight off the bar so we can slow down and pause in some of these positions. I'm gonna have them do a snatch or a clean. We're gonna use snatch today. A snatch or a clean with a pause an inch off the ground. I'm gonna make them hold their start position, no dynamic start position. We need to change that at least for now so you have a better chance to maintain the positions that we want. Holding the start position, lifting very, very slowly, just an inch off the ground, holding there for a couple seconds, and then doing a snatch from there. We're gonna watch the athlete, and this is gonna give them a better chance to maintain tension in the back, to feel that, and to maintain positions. Coaches, you're gonna have to do work here. You're gonna have to see if they're actually doing what you want them to do, give them cues and make adjustments, but the concept here is just the snatch with the pause an inch off the ground. All right, so Aaron's gonna get into his good start position here first and foremost. He's gonna hold it. I'll tell him when to go. So hold there. All right, lift slowly, hold, and snatch. There you go, okay? And so what we can do here is we can have him do that through the whole workout if we need to. Or we can say, okay, Aaron, you're to the point to where you can do the first rep of each warm-up set with the pause an inch off the ground, and then just go through the rest of your regular regular snatch workout from there. Keep in mind as well, if they have multiple faults within the lift, as we talked about, there is a good chance if you address just the first one and worry about only that one first, and don't give them too much to think about. So if they're losing back tension and position from the floor, but they're also not contacting, for example, then let's don't focus on the contact yet. Let's get some reps in with the first one and see how it changes the rest of the lift, because it will change the rest of the lift. And just address those as needed. Keep things simple. Don't give them too many things, all right? Let's say that everything's good from the floor. They're maintaining good tension and good position, but the they're lifting their toes in the with the bar at somewhere around the level of the top of the kneecap. A lot of times they'll stay over the bar too long and drive the legs back too much, and that'll happen beyond that point. But first and foremost, we need to make sure that the position above the knee is good, that the feet are solid on the floor the way that we want to. So instead of pausing an inch off the ground, we're gonna slow it down from the floor up to above the knee and hold that for a few seconds and snatch from that position, making sure that we're focusing on feeling the toes staying down so they're not lifting. And when the athlete moves, really their only focus I want them to have for the snatch is to make sure that the toes are staying down there as well, all right? So once again, he's gonna get into his good start position and hold it, and I'll let him know when to lift. All right, now slowly up to the knee, slowly, 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 much slower than you normally would. Hold. All right, I'm gonna have you come down just a hair, right there, yeah. Just to the top of the kneecap so he gets used to this position. Toes are down and solid on the ground. Okay, snatch. Good. And once again, it's easy to get the athlete in that position when they're pausing, but if the athlete is really, really used to lifting those toes, there's a good chance that they're still gonna do it from that pause position. So coaches, you have to get creative, use different cues if you need to. Sometimes it's about focusing on shifting the knees forward as opposed to keeping the toes down. Sometimes you're gonna have to give them some reps of just moving slowly up to the hip, keeping the toes down, or moving slowly up the hip and then speeding up at the very end so they have a better chance to keep those toes down. But again, the concept is the same. Pause and slow down as much as you need to make the change. Give that athlete the opportunity to make the change. Give them the opportunity to be able to actually focus and emphasize, because the faster you're moving, the less you have control over, all right? So moving on to the next one, early arm bend. Let's say everything up to that point is good, their start position is good, they're maintaining tension in position, they've got a good transition position or position with the bar above the knee, but they're bending their arms. So now instead of worrying about keeping the toes down or the, lost my thought there, but instead of focusing on keeping the toes down, when they're in this pause position, they're gonna shift their focus all to keeping the arms tight and locked. And when I say tight and locked, I mean we want you to be the arm to be twisting in, we want the tricep to be flexed. And the most common cue that I give here is just triceps. So feeling the triceps stay tight for as long as possible as they go through that extension. Now, Aaron, I've been coaching you for a while now, and you had a big early arm bend in your clean, and we've been working on that. You've been able to make some solid changes. Yeah. So as far as that goes, when we were pausing at the knee before and doing drills, what is the cue that we found worked so well for you?
Really, the cue that worked best for me was actually locking the elbows out and almost pushing into the knees on the start position. Right. So when I would do a lot of cleans, it wasn't that my elbows were continuing to bend off the floor, but to actually get around my knees, my elbows would start in that hinged position, which again, bleeding power and torque, and eventually leading to just inefficient technique. So yeah, we've made a lot of progress in that so far in just about the last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing that a lot of athletes and coaches in the community will actually teach an arm bend. I can't confirm that it's 100% detrimental because there are world records broken that way, right? Yeah. But the big thing that we don't want to see is a bend, and then when you put power into the bar, a re-straightening of any amount. And I think yours were re-straightening a little bit when you went through extension. So that's why we put a lot of emphasis on it and tried to change that. But again, it's about isolating that area, finding the appropriate cue, or even, with any of these things, you can also do drills outside of the actual movement to work on those, like what we've done a lot of jumps. Yep. Right, with straight arms. So you're moving slow and going up into just a little hop, and then you can start to add speed to that, and then you can go back and forth between that drill and the actual lift. So keep that in mind as well as we're talking about these fixes too, okay? It's so much about focus though, because the next one that we're gonna talk about is let's say no contact or improper contact, right? So whether you're not contacting your body at all on the snatch or the clean, bar staying out here and you're just muscling it overhead, or you're maybe contacting too low or maybe even too high. That's not as common, but sometimes in the snatch for sure, somebody may kind of, I've on a couple reps way back in the day, for whatever reason, my body just did something weird and I bent my arms early, and with where my grip was, I knocked the breath out of myself, right? Yeah. But it's about not only contacting, but contacting in a specific spot for the snatch and the clean, and we have information out there for you guys as well. So first and foremost is checking your grip, right? If your grip is too narrow in the clean, for example, you're gonna contact too low, or you're gonna bend your arms to get it up to a better, more solid contact point. Same thing in the snatch. If your grip is too narrow, then if you're a guy and you keep your arms straight, you're gonna rack yourself, or you're not gonna contact at all, or you're gonna bend your arms to get it up to that specific point.
During the pull of the clean, the bar will eventually make contact with the hips before then being propelled upwards. With the snatch, the contact point will be at around the pubic bone, but as you can see with these examples, the contact point during a clean is often a few inches lower at the top of the thigh on the quads. To ensure the proper contact point in the cleans, you need to find the right grip width. Hold an empty bar in a standing position and adjust your hands out until the bar is a few inches below the pubic bone at the tops of the thigh. Be sure your arms are locked out and elbows turned out to the side. Your back should not be in an arched position, but should instead be in a good aligned position with your shoulders relaxed down. This should set the index finger an ideal 2 to 3 inches outside of shoulder width. A grip that is too narrow will often lead to an unintended arm bend, a low and sluggish contact point, and a poor front rack position. Notice how Chad lines his hands up to have the same grip width every clean, has a contact point at the upper quad while still maintaining relatively straight elbows, which allows for a strong receiving front rack position.
Understand that contact is a critical part of the lift. It transfers energy into the bar and done appropriately helps direct the bar overhead. Look at it as a stepping stone or the skipping of the bar that gives it new life from the point of contact. Without it, the bar is further away from the body than optimal, and the smaller muscles of the arms are taking on more of the load and are disproportionately in charge of pulling the bar overhead. The first step in learning how to use this extreme advantage in the snatch is to confirm the grip width on the bar that will allow the most effective contact point with your body. Find this specific grip by holding an empty bar in your standing position, adjusting your hands out and in until the bar is resting directly in the middle of your pubic bone. Be sure that your body is aligned, you have a full grip on the bar, shoulders are relaxed down, and arms are straight with elbows pointing out. Watch out for muscling the bar up to this point. And if using the common method of lifting one leg to find your snatch grip, understand that this can set the bar too high if you lift the leg too high. To use this method correctly, lift the leg only to the extent you can keep the toes on the ground, as this will more closely mimic the bend at the hip at initial contact within the snatch. Though it is rare, if you find that this sets the bar within inches above the head, modification of the grip and experimentation for the movement as a whole would be required. But once we have that grip confirmed, now once again it's about isolating that area. We can do hip snatches to isolate that area and work on, keeping those arms straight if that's what you need to do, but work on feeling the bar leaving the body from that specific contact point that we want. And we can do snatches with a pause above the knee again and saying, okay, in this position, now the only focus in the world that I have, the only thing that I'm worried about is feeling that contact in that specific spot that I want on those snatches. So again, it's about slowing it down, pausing in key positions, and focus. Focus, isolating not only the movement, but isolating the focus, all right? Next, as far as improper pull under timing, we have a video on this as well, but using the snatch or the clean pull under, not only to learn more speed under the bar, but first and foremost, to learn the coordination, the proper coordination. We don't want you pulling up on the bar any amount. We want you bending the knees and the elbows simultaneously. And really the only way that I've found for athletes to learn that pull way up on the bar before they drop under is by not just doing the pull under, but by doing the slow motion pull under that you guys will see in the video as well. Step one is a slight lean back, hold that. Notice when I lean back, I'm not offsetting my hips forward much. I'm gonna try to keep them in line with my feet and lean back from this position here, okay? Now slowly trying to initiate my knees and elbows at the exact same time. So if you need to use a PVC pipe for this one, to learn this, please do so. And I actually recommend that you start with the PVC so that you can get this slow movement and that simultaneous action of the knees and the elbows. Those are our kind of our quick, simple fixes there. But again, I want to reemphasize the major ways to fix these things: slow down, isolate, and focus. Slow down, isolate, and focus.
There we go. It seems counterintuitive at first that in the sport of Olympic lifting, we would want to slow down. because it's the most powerful sport in the world. But really, by taking the weight off, again, dropping your ego a little bit, slowing it down, pausing in very key positions, and even you can do this a lot in your warm-ups too. This is a great way that we can integrate this into fixing those techniques. We can see some major changes. And I know for sure I've seen this real life in my own technique. Being in Olympic weightlifting, I started, my first competition was in 2005. 15 years later, I still have a lot of work to do myself. And I think these things have been a huge impact on my lifting so far.
Yep.
So
Great point. Any fixes that you need to make, whether that's technical, timing, mobility, the big takeaway here that we want for all the videos that we're doing is alternate back and forth. Alternate back and forth between the regular movement that you're trying to fix and the drill that you're using to make that fix with mobility-wise, technique-wise, whatever it is. And as you mentioned, I love the idea of just implementing them in your warm-ups as much as you need, all the way to the extent of doing your entire snatch workout or clean workout with the modification that you need, or just doing it on the first 1 to 2 warm-up reps of each set as you're going through your warm-ups.
There we go. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Tons of value in how to fix 5 of the most common Olympic lifting faults. If you have any friends that do Olympic lifting, CrossFit, send them this video. Let's get this message out to all the coaches so that we can get better at the lifts and see what our true performance potential is. Again, guys, thank you so much for checking out today's video. Go and follow Chad on YouTube. He has a ton of great information, and stay tuned for a lot of the other videos that we have also done to help you guys get better with your Olympic lifts. Until next time, guys, happy squatting.
They say that energy flows where attention goes, so I pay no mind. Why waste my time with all these negative cats scratching? So caught up in their egos, these people have lost.